You know, the hardest battle the Canadians ever fought, you might as well say we never lost it because we had no chance to win it, was the Battle of Hong Kong. That was in late 1941, around Christmas Day, Christmas week time. But when an episode of The Twilight Zone came out 20 years later, it made national news in Canada because it talked about a lot of the factors of the war involving soldiers on both sides that were up against it, and the quality of mercy that needed to be shown in relation, instead of wiping them out, as taking them as prisoners. And of course, it's a quality of mercy. Now, this is one of the strongest episodes of Twilight Zone. Rod Serling's Cine, his dialogue, is just tremendous. The great Albert Salmi does an extremely great job, and Dean Stockwell as the young lieutenant looking for, not say revenge, but for glory. And an early appearance by the great Leonard Nimoy as actually he's playing Uhura's role as the communication officer. Now, Quality of Mercy was the 80th episode of TZ, aired on December 29, 61, again around the 20th anniversary of Hong Kong. The title is taken from a notable speech in William Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice, quoted in Serling's closing narration at the end of the episode. Now, it's August 1945, according to Serling, the last grimy days of a dirty, torn book of a war. The place is the Philippines. The men are what's left of a platoon of American infantry, whose dulled and tired eyes, set deep in dulled and tired faces, can now look towards a miracle, the moment then when the nightmare appears to be coming to an end. But they've got one more battle to fight, and in a moment we'll observe the battle. August 1945, Philippines, but in reality it's high noon in the Twilight Zone. Now, Serling was a veteran. He saw a lot of heavy combat in the Second World War, but initially he didn't come up with this idea. Sam Rolfe. Now, you're wondering who Sam Rolfe is. He is an American screenwriter. He did a lot of good work, including Have Gun Will Travel and Man from Uncle in the 11th Hour. Now, the various Twilight Zone support he gave to Serling, Serling looked up to him in relation to his writer. Now, he was an Academy Award and Emmy Award nominee, and also won for The Man from Uncle. Unfortunately, he died in 1993 with still a little bit more work to go. So, getting to the plot of the movie again, I know Dean Stockwell had a great performance as the lieutenant, but as Albert Salmi, who I always felt one of the most underrated actors in the TZ Night Gallery universe, plays to put upon number one grunt as under the lieutenant. Now, this is amazing 3 weeks for TZ, by the way, because the previous episode was 5 characters search for an exit, and the next one was Nothing in the Dark, where Robert Redford played Death. Now, on August 6, 45, Second Lieutenant Cattell arrives in the Southwest Pacific Theater, World War II, and takes command of a seasoned but war-weary infantry platoon led by Sergeant Corazano. Cattell promptly orders an attack on a group of sick and wounded Japanese soldiers holed up in a cave. Now, Corazano tries to talk him out of it, as everyone is sick of fighting and attacking defensive Japanese soldiers would achieve nothing but unnecessary deaths for both sides. And basically, the Stockwell character is basically saying, you know, I'm in charge here, but the Salmi character is saying, man, I've been here for a while, it's not going to end well, we're tired, we're beat, they're half starved, or they're half dead. Why you want to take it? Now, Cattell is intent on proving himself and earning his rank, stands firm in his orders. He berates the platoon for lack of enthusiasm and tells Corazano, he does not care who the enemy is or how much of a threat they pose, only that he will kill all of them until they're ordered to stop killing, simply because they're the enemy, in this case calling them the Japs. And listen to that line, because later on in the episode it comes back. Casarano and the platoon reluctantly prepare for the assault, and there's a very, very interesting scene which mimics the Platoon movie, where they're putting mud on their face as part of a way not to be seen. Now, as Cattell surveils the cave, he accidentally drops his binoculars. When he goes to retrieve them, he suddenly finds himself surrounded by an Imperial Japanese Army company from 3 years before. After a failed attempt to flee, he is briefed on the situation by Surgeon Yamazaki. He is Lieutenant Yamuri on Corridor on May 4, 42 during the Philippines campaign, and his company is preparing to assault a group of sadly wounded 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment soldiers holed up in the cave. Yamuri tries to dissuade the company's captain from ordering the attack, arguing that the Americans inside the cave pose no threat and can be captured or bypassed instead. But the company's captain bluntly refuses to listen, and suspecting Yamuri has malaria or lossy nerve, reminds him that it does not matter whether the enemy is incapacitated or other details will not shorten the war, only that they will kill all of them until they're ordered to stop killing, mirroring exactly what Cattell told Casarano. The captain then relieves Yamuri of command and leads the company to attack the cave. Now, horrified, Yamuri reaches for his binoculars and finds himself back as Cattell in 45, just as the platoon's radio man relieves that the atomic bomb has been dropped and technically the war is over. They have been ordered to fall back and want to see how Japan responds. As the platoon cheerfully withdraws, Casarano sardonically assures Cattell, "While I wouldn't fret, there'll be other caves and other wars, other human beings you can knock off." As Cattell somberly stares at the cave, he responds, "I hope not. God help us, I hope not." So part of the Twilight Zone trope was going back in the past or going into the future, either to change it or learn from it. What we don't know if this is the whole thing is a dream but Dean Stockwell, known for being a youth actor at the time, here is entering his mature years and is a great performance because very historic. But Albert Salmi, holy frig, man, he just eats up this scenery here. And my dad always said, where was his Emmy nomination for this performance? This was a perfect Best Supporting Actor. I know the way his life ended was kind of strange, but I'm not going to judge him because when he played in the waiting room, one of the gunfighters in that episode, and the execution episode where he basically goes back in time to meet up with our guy from Gilligan's Island, who took him at time travel, and of late, I think Clifford is not his fault. It's a bad episode, but he does it quite well. You see, just like Ross Martin, okay, just like Jack Klugman made himself, in the Twilight Zone. There's episodes of Twilight Zone like this. They are so good. There's nothing even 64 years later can compare. There's bullshit about streaming and new actors. In a half an hour or 26 minutes or whatever, Serling brings something that cannot be duplicated or cannot be emulated. All the revivals of the Twilight Zone, including 85 and like what they call the Jonathan Jackson version and the modern version, they'll have 1 or 2 episodes, but Jesus fucking Christ, man. I mean, in 3 weeks, 5 characters in search of an exit, which has become a stage play in many high school and college areas, and Nothing in the Dark, of Christ's sake. Robert Redford as Death. Holy shit, man. This in December 1961, I mean, this was an interesting time because Kennedy was in, TV was exploding, and again, Serling was leading. But the other key actors scored Rayford Barnes, Ralph Vautrin, and Dale Ishimoto, who was a character actor in various Japanese productions. Now, the closing narration, I'm quoting Shakespeare, and my good friends Paul Matut hates reading Shakespeare by will on his behalf. The quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth as a gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. Shakespeare, The Merchant of Venice. But applicable to any moment of time, to any group of soldiery, to any nation on the face of the earth, or in this case, to the Twilight Zone. And of course, J.H. Fujikawa as a Japanese captain. Now, Dale Ishimoto, you would see him as a character actor in various shows, and actually he was sent to an internment camp in Arizona. Then he was volunteered to fight for the Second World War. After 2 years, he got the Purple Heart. Born in Colorado, he had a lot of key parts through the years. A lot of army shows, a lot of TV shows. And, of course, he's an interesting performance as the Korean doctor in MASH, we still talk about. Of course, he was in Midway. He was in Beverly Hills Ninja. So he's done everything. But a very important performance, again, in King Rat, too, as well. A very underrated in PT 109 as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, this episode, again, this was on the Hal Roach Studios. It's using usual MGM facilities because he needed a lot of John Wayne-ish background. The episode writer, again, was a paratrooper in the Philippines as part of the Airborne Division, and he saw enough debt that, he doesn't really talk about it. I'm going to dedicate this episode to his beautiful daughter, Ann Serling, who wrote a book about Rod. It's hard to believe he's almost 50 years dead. And one of the main reasons I became a journalist or a TV writer as well, I was inspired by the Night Gallery, but when I got to the key episodes of the Twilight Zone in this run of talent, like second and third season was just tremendous. But the quality of mercy from a Canadian soldier, we didn't show mercy to Germans. That's what he put the Geneva Convention. So maybe the Americans would do this, but for a Canadian perspective, this was Hong Kong, not say second phase, but the Canadians we never fought in Japan, the Philippines. We were going to do that in 46. That was the Americans' battle. I don't think we would have taken any prisoners. So quality of mercy can be related to the American soldier, but the Canadian soldier, First and Second World War, wow, because word got around about Hong Kong, and there was no mercy for and look what we did in Dresden and what they did in Holland to liberate Holland. They weren't taking prisoners. So this is a very, very American, compassionate movie, and I say it's a movie, but it's a short. But the chopped up syndicated version of this is terrible. It sucks to high heaven because you lose all the background. But if go on Amazon Prime Canada, which has the 25 to 26-minute episodes, this is just tremendous. So, ladies and gentlemen, the quality of mercy is not strained. Showing mercy means showing forgiveness. You can't not have mercy with forgiveness. But Rod Serling, I know for a fact, he had battle fatigue, or he's saying PTSD, and he wrote it out. And this is some of Serling's writing was sing-songy. This is not sing-songy. This is perfect for Stockwell, perfect for Salmi, and Ross Martin could have done the Salmi part as well, but Salmi was more like a gritty kind of Western, trope. You look at all the good character actors and key actors of Westerns in Twilight Zone. You got Charles Bronson, you got Jack Elam, you got Salmi, you got Dean Stockwell. A lot of these crossover to Westerns. And the head scratcher is, why wasn't Clint Eastwood ever on the Twilight Zone? Well, he was too busy doing Rawhide and other projects. So again, the Quality of Mercy episode, 5 stars, a top 20 episode. But the problem is, you get in top 20 with the Twilight Zone, you're getting 8.5, 8.6, 8.7. It's like all the greatest Montreal Canadiens. The number 20 for the Montreal Canadiens might be Steve Shutt, and the next one is Peter Mahovlich, then it's Frank Mahovlich. It's a quality like you wouldn't believe. But I wouldn't recommend any veterans to watch this episode without a disclaimer. There should be a disclaimer on this, because in Canada, this episode is rated 7+. Wow, exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing, it's Canada Day week next week. I want to tell you, if you're from America, why we're pissed off at the 51st state comment, because we not only liberated Europe, we basically killed the Nazis in their last thing from 44 to 45, and we're doing mop-up. We took the dirty roles. The Americans didn't take the dirty roles in Europe like we did. Every fucking country in Europe, we had a part in the liberation. And we're sure as hell, if you would have sent it into the Japanese, I think the Americans, by dropping the bomb, saved 1 million Japanese, because if Canada was asked to help invade Japan in 46, there wouldn't be no Quality of Mercy. So think about that. And any American thinks the Canadians can easily be taken over or whatever, get the fuck off the channel. I don't want you here. I've said this for the last few weeks. If you're a Trump supporter, American or Canadian, you come on the channel, you leave a comment saying don't mention anything about Trump and blah blah blah, you will be banned from YouTube. I don't want to ban anybody from YouTube, because you will, but I don't want you here. So I want you to delete your subscription and fuck off. Because when my family fought in Hong Kong, we didn't fight for the Americans to say we're going to take you over. We fought for Canada. We fought for the Dominion flag. Then we fought in Canada. We didn't peacekeep in Europe all these years. So when you watch Quality of Mercy as an American, say this is a tip to hat to all soldiers, American and Canadian. But if you support Trump, cunt-face, the Antichrist, the elitist, the misogynist, don't want you here. Because when you support Trump, you don't support Canada. This is your neighbors. You don't burn your neighbor's house down because somebody gives you a candy treat to vote for him. Okay? And put it this way, one American militia said the other day, or Montana or whatever, said we could take Canada today. Fuck, you couldn't get across the border in 100 days. Because you know what happens when Americans come into Canada and start talking craziness? Either their tires are going to be slashed, and if you keep on, their neck's going to be slashed. And it's not going to be me. There's Canadians, they're really, really radical. So, by the way, this is not your typical blog podcast channel. I've been a journalist for 42 years covering American and Canadian political issues. I'm going to tell the truth. I love Americans that support peace and love, but that 49% voted for Trump, you can go fuck yourself. Because you're going straight to hell with them, wherever hell is. And for a lot of people, hell is Boston losing to Montreal in the playoffs, but that's another podcast. So, like I said, keep your stick in the ice, and if you have a soldier in your family that fought for a just cause, go up to him and say, thank you for your service. Have a good one.